Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC 286, Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3 just ended, and this is going to be my UFC 286 post-fight. I'm mainly going to discuss the main and co-main event, but I'm also going to touch on some other notable fights on the card, and I may even discuss a theory I have regarding what Dana White said at the post-fight presser regarding guaranteeing Colby Covington the next title shot at Leon Edwards, because when I saw what Dana White said, I had an immediate theory that popped into my mind that I have not seen anyone else suggest, and I might make a standalone video about it, but I might also fill you in at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Starting off with the main event, we had Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3. Leon Edwards defends his welterweight title via majority decision. He wins on 2 judges' scorecards. The third judge had it a draw. Now, this fight card and this main event in general was actually underwhelming. I just feel like we were expecting so much more, and the main event was good. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't terrible, but I feel like it under-delivered. But how did I score the fight? You go through it round by round. Round 1 was clearly Leon Edwards, landing good body kicks, good leg kicks. Usman was trying to pressure, but wasn't really having a whole lot of success. Round 2, you had Kamaru Usman land a good right hand. He hurt Leon Edwards, then took Leon Edwards down, and as Leon Edwards was getting back to his feet up against the cage, Kamaru Usman kind of relaxed trying to take him down and just started lighting him up with good shots as Leon Edwards is working his way up against the fence. Then once they broke, I think Leon Edwards was still hurt. He shot in on a takedown, got sprawled easily by Kamaru Usman. Usman landed some good body shots, tried to take the back, and Leon Edwards got back up, landed a couple leg kicks. But the second round, I think, was clearly Kamaru Usman. So the first round, I think it was clearly Leon Edwards. Second round was closer. I think you could give it to Leon, but I think it was Kamaru Usman's round. He hurt him. I know Leon landed some good shots in this round too. Hurt him, had him down, beat him up against the fence. I think Kamaru Usman takes round 2. Moving on to round 3. Round 3 is a very tricky round because you had Leon Edwards landing some good shots, landing some leg kicks, landing some body kicks, but you had Kamaru Usman start to get the takedown. He got a takedown. I think Leon worked his way back to his feet, and then he was looking for another takedown, and he egregiously grabbed the fence like 3 or 4 times as Usman was about to take him down. And there was a lot of fouls. I believe it was all in the third round for the most part. I think there might have been another foul in the first round, but the third round, there was fence grabs by Leon. There was a nut shot by Leon. I think there was even an eye poke by Leon in the third round. So Leon grabbed the fence so egregiously, and it altered the fight and altered the takedown attempt by Usman. He would have definitely got him down. Herb Dean stops the fight, and Herb Dean takes a point from Leon Edwards. But because he takes the point, Usman doesn't get the position back. And I think that helped Leon Edwards because in the last 2.5 minutes of the round, landed some good leg kicks. But I think Usman landed enough in this third round where it was a very, very close round. You could give it a 9-9, but I think it was a 10-8 for Kamaru Usman. I think he won this round. I think he landed just enough on the feet, and then he also had the grappling edge. I think Kamaru Usman took round 3, 10-8, but I do also think you could do 9-9 because of the point deduction. It would be a tie round. Moving on to round 4. Round 4, Leon Edwards landing some more body kicks, landing some more leg kicks, and mixed in all these rounds and these different rounds. There were some good knees. I think it was in the second round he landed some good knees on Kamaru Usman, but in this fourth round, Usman was pressing forward, landing some jabs to the body, nothing super crazy. You had Leon just brutally kicking the legs. You had Usman landing some decent shots, kind of pressing forward, overextending, getting a little bit sloppy. And I thought round 4 was very close. And I thought round 4 honestly could have went either way as well. I think a lot of people are getting a little bit crazy with their scorecards, but I think round 4 was very close, but I would give it to Leon Edwards. So I have round 1 and round 4 for Leon Edwards, and I have round 2 and 3 for Usman. And then you have round 5. Now, round 5, initially when I watched it, I thought Kamaru Usman won round 5. I thought he was pressing forward. He was landing some shots. Leon was slowing down. He was looking up at the clock. He was on his back foot the entire time. He was landing some good shots with the leg kicks, and I think he even landed a couple body kicks in the 5th round. And landed a couple punches as well, but Usman was marching forward, throwing some jabs at the body, throwing some jabs upstairs. I think he got a couple takedowns, but Leon Edwards worked right back to his feet. And round 5 was a very close round, and I went back and rewatched 3/4 of the round, and I would probably give round 5 to Leon Edwards, honestly. When I went back and rewatched, I didn't watch it super closely, and I'm going to do another video tomorrow about this decision once I rewatch the fight. But I think round 5 should go to Leon Edwards. I think he just did a little bit more damage with the leg kicks. The grappling from Usman didn't really amount to much. But I do think there is a case to be made for Usman for round 5, as crazy as that sounds. This is going to be an ultimate hot take. And I want you to listen to the entire sentence before, you jump down in the comments. I think you could give Usman 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think you could give Usman 4 rounds out of 5. That is craziness. I know that sounds crazy. I also do believe you could give Leon Edwards every single round outside of that second round, and then the third round would be 9-9. But ultimately, with my scoring, I gave round 2 to Usman, I gave round 3 to Usman, and I gave round 3 a 10-8. So I have it 3-2 for Leon Edwards, but because of that 10-8, it should have been a draw in my opinion. It was a very close fight. It was a very competitive fight. Anyone saying that Leon Edwards dominated Kamaru Usman is absolutely delusional. Anyone saying Kamaru Usman dominated Leon Edwards, absolutely delusional. Anyone saying Kamaru Usman got robbed are absolutely delusional as well. Leon Edwards came into this fight building on everything he already knew and building on his game plan from the last fight. And there were so many people going into this fight saying, oh, Kamaru Usman's getting old. He's slowing down. How is he ever going to recover from a KO the magnitude of what Leon Edwards did to him? And I believe they're shortchanging Leon Edwards. Most people did not believe Leon Edwards could win that second fight, aka the last fight. And I said Leon Edwards can very well win this fight. Leon Edwards was even my early prediction for the second fight, and then I switched to Kamaru Usman. People look at this fight now, and they thought, okay, well, it's because Usman's old. It's because he's slowing down. And I think people are shortchanging Leon Edwards. What Leon Edwards did in this fight, and I talked about it on multiple live streams. I talked about it in my prediction video. If Leon Edwards were to win this fight, he would learn and grow from the last fight, and he would work on a very good game plan that involved moving his feet, circling around the cage, keeping his back off the cage, and a heavy kick attack. And that's what he did in this fight. That's what he did to win this fight. I do not think Kamaru Usman was robbed. I'm going to go back and rewatch the fight. I think people saying that are crazy. I think Leon Edwards, he won this fight with his kicks. He won this fight with his kicks and his movement, and that's exactly what I thought he had to do coming into this fight, and also obviously assisted by the takedown defense, because even when he got taken down, he was able to get back to his feet. But basically, it was the leg kicks. And I know people are constantly talking about Kamaru Usman's knees, Kamaru Usman's knees, Kamaru Usman's knees. I don't even necessarily know if that's the reason Leon's throwing those kicks. People are looking way too much into it. It's because Usman is very heavy on his lead leg. That is why Leon Edwards was brutally chopping that leg. And also, you have the fact that Usman comes in this fight knowing he got brutally head kick KO'd in the last fight. So we knew Leon was going to start spamming those body kicks and then try to go upstairs, which he did in this fight. He landed a lot of good body kicks even in the first round. And basically, that's what won him this fight. It wasn't a super eventful fight. It was a very competitive fight. Usman just seemed like he was kind of headhunting a little bit on the feet, and the grappling just wasn't very effective. I think Leon Edwards leveled up. Maybe Usman was just, had an off night. I don't know. But I think in the grappling, it seemed different this fight. And I don't know what I attribute that necessarily to. I do believe Leon Edwards is rapidly improving. He is the younger fighter, and he was able to get up. But it also didn't seem, it seemed like Usman wanted to win the fight on his feet. As crazy as that sound, when I was watching the fight midway through the fight and Usman was throwing some sloppy combinations out there, I'm thinking, is Kamaru Usman trying to get that KO back? Because that's what it seemed like in the middle of the fight at some points. And I know he did eventually go to some grappling, especially in that third round, and got some takedowns in the fifth round. But it just seemed like he was out there headhunting, trying to get that KO back. But Leon Edwards was chopping the legs and the lateral movement. He was circling and circling and circling and circling, because Kamaru Usman was constantly getting ahead when he was backing Leon Edwards up and beating him up against the fence. And that rarely happened in this fight. That rarely happened. So he made the much needed adjustments and won the fight. I have no problem with the scorecards. I could sit here and give Leon Edwards 1, 2, 4, and 5. I could easily give him all those rounds. Or no, not 1, 2, 4, and 5. I could give him every round but 2. And round 3 would be a 9-9 because of the point deduction. So I can totally see that. Leon Edwards did very well this fight. Wasn't a super impressive performance by either guy. The most damage that was done was really to Kamaru Usman's legs. But you had that one point in the second round where Kamaru Usman landed a big punch and hurt Leon Edwards. You had the moments where Leon landed a couple of those, knees where they were kind of clinched up, and Kamaru would kind of duck down to get out of the clinch, and Leon would come upstairs with a knee. I think it was a fight where Leon made the much-needed adjustments, and I think people are going to make excuses for Kamaru Usman. And it's detrimental to Leon Edwards because they're going to act like Kamaru Usman's washed up. They're going to act like he's old. They're going to act like he was too affected by the KO. I do not think that is the case. Leon Edwards looked at the last fight, and he made adjustments when he came into this fight, and he had an excellent game plan. This was the exact game plan that he needed to win this fight. Lots of movement and lots of kicks, and that's exactly what he did to win this fight. Does the third round kind of taint this win a little bit? I think it does. I think it does. You know, to have that bad of fence grabs, where you have 3 or 4 egregious fence grabs as you're about to be taken down. Then, and I think it was in the first round, he was grabbing in the glove that Herb Dean yelled at him. Then you had a couple low blows, a couple eye pokes. I don't think Leon Edwards was out there intentionally cheating by any means. The fence grabs obviously were intentional, whether you want to say that's reactionary or whatever. But I do think it does make this look bad. If the roles were reversed, people would be flipping out if Kamaru Usman cheated this many times and then won via decision. But ultimately, Leon Edwards gets it done, chopping the legs, landing heavy body kicks. He came upstairs a couple times. You know, it was partially blocked. There were some head kicks that partially got through. But Kamaru Usman, I do think it played a little bit of a factor in this fight because it seemed like sometimes in the exchanges he would press forward, and it seemed like sometimes he would get a little bit tentative. And when you have a guy like Leon Edwards peppering your legs and your body, it's only a matter of time before he goes upstairs. And I think that's why Kamaru Usman had trouble trying to evade those body kicks and those leg kicks. There were some times where he would parry to the body, but Leon Edwards would get a lot of heavy body kicks. Never really hurt Usman with the body kicks, but still it was effective. It was doing damage and winning him rounds. The other thing I want to mention, because I think this is absolutely hilarious, Leon Edwards, the whole elevation thing was an absolute BS excuse because Leon Edwards, his cardio looked the same in this fight as it looked back at UFC 278. He looked tired in the 4th and 5th round, but guess what? He was still able to win the fight, and he was still able to be effective. And in the 5th round in the last fight, what did he do? Oh, he knocked out Kamaru Usman. Also in the 5th round in the last fight, he was stuffing takedowns as well. So I don't want to hear this BS narrative. Leon Edwards' game plan was better, and it was not the elevation. It was not the elevation whatsoever. I don't believe that. I don't believe Leon Edwards' cardio was bad in the last fight, hence why he got a 5th round knockout. There's nothing more that can tell you my cardio isn't bad than stuffing takedowns in the late rounds and getting a knockout in the late rounds. And I do think Leon Edwards' cardio was still good in this fight, but he was slowing down in that 4th and 5th round, similar and almost to the same extent as he did in the last fight. It's just he had a better game plan. He fought a different fight, and that's what won him this fight ultimately. Where does Leon Edwards go from here? Dana White's guaranteeing Colby Covington the next title shot, which is weird, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I have a theory about that I literally just came up with before I jumped on this video, and I'm not just pulling stuff, you know, pulling it out of thin air, making it up. It's a real theory, and I think it's going to end up becoming true. But we'll talk about that in a second. What's next for Kamaru Usman? He's getting up there in age. He's now lost twice in a row. I do believe because he's a former champion, if he goes out there and gets one win and he gets a big win, I think he could be right back in the title discussion, especially if Colby Covington wins the belt. He has 2 wins over Colby Covington. So Kamaru Usman's not done. He says he's not done. I would love to see him against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I would love to see him against, you know, a bunch of guys in the division. I'd like to see him against Jeff Neal. I know Jeff Neal just lost, so that doesn't really make sense. I'd like to see him against Bilal. I'd like to see him against Khamzat Chimaev. Doesn't seem like Khamzat Chimaev is coming back down, but supposedly he's moving up to middleweight according to Dana. But he's definitely in a weird spot now that he has 2 losses to Leon Edwards. But I think this fight was very close. I think anyone calling it a robbery is delusional. I think it was a close fight where Leon Edwards edged it out with the leg kicks. And I think ultimately the kicks of Leon Edwards combined with the movement of Leon Edwards, combined with the takedown defense of Leon Edwards is what won him this fight. But it was a really uneventful fight. It was kind of lackluster. It was kind of disappointing, to be honest. I expected more from both guys, but it just seemed like both guys were super tentative in this fight. Kamaru Usman, I feel like at the end of the 5th round, he started to get a little bit more aggressive, but at that point, it's too late. And I also think both guys kind of suffered from they thought they won syndrome. Like, I think, you know, Trevor Whitman was kind of telling Usman, oh, you're good to go. You're fighting well. You know, he was telling him to be a little bit more aggressive, but he was acting as if he won. Leon Edwards' corner was telling him the same thing. So I think that led to a lack of urgency from both guys in the later rounds, and ultimately that's why we got the decision we got. But I think it should have been a draw. In my opinion, round 2 to Kamaru Usman 10-9, round 3 to Kamaru Usman 10-8 because of the point deduction, and then rounds 1, 4, and 5 to Leon Edwards. But again, some of those rounds were very close. Round 4 was very, very close. Could have went either way. So I do think there is a case to be made for Kamaru Usman getting the win, but I have absolutely no problem with Leon Edwards getting the win. And I think what it comes down to was the kicks and movements. Now, as far as the Colby Covington theory that I've been teasing, and I might make a video about this, but I figured I might fill you guys in because it's kind of a theory, so I may not make the video, but I'll fill you in on this video. I think there is a chance, and I don't want to sit here and people somehow claim, oh, you're making excuses for Kamaru Usman. Going into this fight, there was a lot of rumors that Kamaru Usman was injured. And I never buy these rumors, and Kamaru Usman was wearing the hand brace, and he wore that before, the Jorge Masvidal second fight. I don't buy it. He wears it all the time. There's always the talk of the knees. The reason I think Kamaru Usman may have been injured is not because of what happened in the fight, because I realized this after the fact. I think you listen to Leon Edwards' reaction, and again, I may make this video on it, so I don't know, but I don't know if I should or not. Let me know down in the comments if I should make a full video on this. But I think Leon Edwards or Kamaru Usman may have been injured because you listen to Leon Edwards, he's confused. He's like, why does Colby Covington deserve a title shot? And I think what may have happened is I think the UFC may have known Kamaru Usman was injured, okay? And I think they may have just found out in the last 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And I think Leon Edwards would not know, the UFC would not tell Leon Edwards anything if Kamaru Usman was injured and still fighting, because that would put Kamaru Usman as a disadvantage. So I think what the UFC did was last minute, I think they called Colby Covington up. They said, we need a backup for UFC 286. Kamaru Usman may pull out. And Colby Covington said, yes, I will, and flew right over to the UK and was prepared to weigh in and prepared to fight in the event that Kamaru Usman pulled out. And we've seen what Dana White and the UFC is willing to do for those guys. They did it for Frankie Edgar years ago. He stepped in, I think, on short notice against Brian Ortega, saved an event. And guess what? Frankie Edgar got like one win, and then he got a title shot against Max Holloway, even though he didn't deserve it. So when you do the UFC a favor, and Dana White was looking at this UFC 286 card, if we lose the main event, the UK card is going to be destroyed. And also, it's not even a pay-per-view anymore. So I think Dana White called up Colby. They called up Colby. They asked him to be the backup in case Kamaru pulled out. The reason I'm saying that it was Kamaru is because Leon Edwards is acting shocked is why Colby Covington would get guaranteed a shot against him. And I think Leon did not know Kamaru Usman was injured. I think they offered Colby to be the late notice replacement, and he took him up on their offer to save the event. So now Dana White and the UFC are like, okay, we kind of owe Colby. Because you look at Colby, he's been inactive. He hasn't fought since he fought Jorge Masvidal. He has no wins over anyone currently in the top 10 of the division. And Dana never comes out the night of the fight and says, oh, he's definitely getting a title shot. So it's very bizarre. It's very uncharacteristic to hear that after a fight. And I think that may be the reason. According also with the fact that Colby's going to draw more pay-per-view buys. I talked about that in another video of why he was the backup. Is because he's going to draw in more pay-per-view buys. Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, that ain't doing anything, okay? That ain't doing no pay-per-view buys. They may as well put that on free ESPN. So I think those two factors combined together, I think is the reason why Colby Covington is getting a guaranteed title shot according to Dana White. Now, moving on to some other fights, because I don't want to make this video too long. Moving down to Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. This fight was great. Even though I didn't get this prediction right, I didn't get the main event prediction right, I told you guys, you cannot count out Justin Gaethje. He's a very good striker, and unless he gets coaxed into a brawl, he will do very good in this fight, and he may even win. And I thought, regardless of who won this fight, I thought it would be via decision. You had the first round. I thought Fiziev was just faster in the first round. It was a very good first round. You had Justin Gaethje landing heavy leg kicks. You had both guys throwing big punches, big combinations. You had a good knee in the clinch by Rafael Fiziev. And Gaethje was kind of ducking down every time there was combinations being thrown. And Fiziev started incorporating a knee up the middle. You had a fake takedown attempt by Gaethje in the first round where it was like kind of a half-hearted takedown attempt just to kind of give Fiziev a different look. And then basically he went back to striking. But Fiziev landed the better shots in this round. Good body kicks, good teep kicks, good leg kicks himself. I thought he clearly won the first round. Second round. The second round I gave to Justin Gaethje. He landed the harder shots. He had good hooks. He had some nasty leg kicks. And every time they would clinch up, They would clinch up temporarily. You would see Fiziev trying to throw some knees. Every time they broke, I don't know why I said it like that, you had Justin Gaethje throwing wild hooks. Sometimes he would land. And in that second round, Fiziev started to get busted up a little bit. And then you had the third round. You started off with the third round, so you have 1-1 going into the third round. You had Fiziev start off very strong. It looked like he even rocked Justin Gaethje for a second, but then they showed the replay. The punch didn't even land, but he landed some good shots early in the first round. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Justin Gaethje just found his jab. And just started pumping his jab for the rest of the third round. Busted up Fiziev badly, landed a couple hooks, landed a couple good leg kicks. Justin Gaethje has the best leg kicks in the UFC. I thought Fiziev would be good enough to get out of the way and check him. And there was some checked leg kicks by both guys in this fight. Gaethje just pumped his jab, did a lot of damage to Fiziev in the third round. And I thought it was a clear 29-28 for Justin Gaethje. I thought he won the second and third round, and I thought it was pretty clear. Fiziev was busted up badly at the end of the fight. And I know Fiziev, a lot of his attacks were to the body, and that's why Justin Gaethje didn't look as busted up. But Gaethje didn't even look like he was in a fight, to be honest. And Fiziev looked like he had been in a train wreck. But ultimately, I just think this shows a lot of people were saying, oh, and Gaethje also had a takedown in the third round. At the very end of the third round, shot for a takedown. And also another thing I wanted to mention is the uppercuts from Justin Gaethje in the third round. Because Fiziev would try to clinch, and boom, Gaethje would hit him with an uppercut and started adjusting to that. I think it just goes to show Justin Gaethje is still a very good fighter. Too many people are counting him out. Too many people are calling him dumb, saying he has a bad fight IQ. He looked very good in this fight, and he sent back a surging contender in Rafael Fiziev. And now Justin Gaethje is right up there in title discussion. And he looked very good. The leg kicks looked amazing. The adjustments looked amazing. The jab looked really good. And Justin Gaethje never uses a jab. And maybe that's a new weapon he's going to break out. And I think Justin Gaethje, while I still believe he would get mauled by Islam Makhachev, he puts himself right back into title contention. One more win, he might fight Dustin Poirier next. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Justin Gaethje could be on the path to a potential another title shot. And, I think a lot of people doubted him going into this fight. I picked against him. I picked against him via decision. But I knew he had a very good chance to win this fight. And he showed that he is still very good. Losing to Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov mean absolutely nothing. Those are two of the best guys. And I mean absolutely nothing in terms of people saying he's washed up because he lost those fights. He is still very good. He fought very methodical in this fight. He had great leg kicks, great adjustments, great jab, great uppercut. And Justin Gaethje is still a fighter to be reckoned with in the lightweight division. Moving down the card, Gunnar Nelson versus Bryan Barberena. Didn't really care for this fight. Bryan Barberena landed some leg kicks early. Gunnar Nelson gets him down, gets an armbar. Gunnar Nelson will never fight for a title. Gunnar Nelson may not ever be ranked in the top 15 again. Bryan Barberena basically was just beating up bums, not bums, but aging veterans for a while. And Bryan Barberena's never really been elite. He's just a gritty guy who's very exciting. And Gunnar Nelson went out there and basically treated him like he had no jiu-jitsu, which we saw in his last fight. He got submitted by, I believe, Rafael dos Anjos. Gunnar Nelson, armbar, tail end of the first round. Moving down the card, Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. All I have to say is ew. Low-level fight, boring fight. Casey O'Neill lost via unanimous decision. Jennifer Maia just had the better hands and landed the better shots. Moving down the card, the fight that opened up the main card, Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. People are claiming robbery. The fight was very close. I had round one for Roman Dolidze. I even believe you could give round one to Marvin Vettori. People, for some reason, when they watch fights, they see these big shots thrown, and even when they don't land, people just credit them as if they landed. Roman Dolidze landed a lot on the arms of Marvin Vettori and didn't land a lot on his chin. Now, he did land some strikes. I thought he still won round one because he landed a couple big shots on Marvin Vettori. But ultimately, I think Vettori, with his leg kicks, that was the majority, weapon that he used in this fight. I think he won rounds 2 and 3. I thought he won 29-28. And I think you could even maybe give him the first round. I don't think Roman Dolidze won this fight. Most people apparently thought Dolidze won this fight. I gave it to Vettori. What I saw here was lackluster striking by both guys. Vettori will never be champion. Dolidze's got a lot to work on, and he's 5 years older than Marvin Vettori. So I don't know. He's had this massive jump up. He's lost. He's going to the back of the line now in terms of contendership, and wasn't super impressed. He was just throwing bombs, landing on the forearms of Marvin Vettori. It wasn't a very impressive fight by either guy. I thought Vettori would get a third-round finish. Dolidze did start to tire, and I think the lack of output is what really cost him in the third round. But ultimately, I don't think either guy will really be a title contender. I don't think either guy will be a champion in any time in the future. Not really impressed with this fight. Moving down the card, Jack Shore versus Makwan Amirkhani, the last prelim, the prelim headliner. Justice for Mike Grundy is all I have to say. Jack Shore went out there, arguably lost the first round. Makwan Amirkhani, fresh in the first round, got a takedown, controlled him a bit, landed some good shots on the feet. But guess what? Makwan Amirkhani has no gas tank. And that showed. He was already gassed in the second round. Eventually gets taken down in the second round and gets rear naked choked in the second round. Jack Shore wins. Jack Shore looked kind of small for featherweight. He was getting controlled in the clinch in the first round against Makwan. So I don't know if he's going to be able to go out there and be successful. Imagine he's fighting a guy like Bryce Mitchell, who's just relentless and very strong in the clinch and in the grappling, or a guy like Ilia Topuria. I don't know if Jack Shore belongs at featherweight. He had the ultimate dad bod in this fight, but I am so happy. I will be a Jack Shore fan for life. He got justice for Mike Grundy's dad. That's all I care about. Makwan Amirkhani tapping out. Tapped very quick, too, if I'm remembering correctly. But what does that really mean? Makwan Amirkhani isn't a very good fighter. He's just a fighter that, has had mild success in the UFC, but he has no gas tank. For some reason, he doesn't work on his stamina, and he's always gassing out in second round. So Jack Shore goes out there, get a win in his featherweight debut. A very skilled fighter. According to Michael Bisping, the Welch GSP. I find that hard to believe, but nonetheless gets it done. Moving down the card, I'm not going to go through every fight on the card, so I'm going to move down to Muhammad Makayev versus Rafael Fiziev. What a crazy fight. The third round was insane. It was competitive in the first two rounds. I don't even remember who I scored it for in the first two rounds, but Fiziev was doing very well. In that third round, Fiziev had a brutal knee bar. It was deep. It was locked in. It was perfect. The knee of Muhammad Makayev was extending heavily the wrong way. And for some reason, Makayev didn't tap. And Herb was about to stop it. He was asking Makayev, "Are you okay?" It looked horrible. Somehow he fights through it. Fiziev is wrenching on it, trying to rip it in half. He survives. He's clearly injured. But then right afterwards, he gets a rear naked choke. He submits Rafael Fiziev, submits him via rear naked choke in the third round. It seems like Makayev is just like not trying, and then all of a sudden he just gets a finish. I don't know how much damage is done to that knee. The other thing I wanted to mention, in the second or first round, there was a weird moment where Makayev was on top of Fiziev, and he had this weird tapping behind the back. People are saying, "Oh, he tapped out." It looked like he tapped out. There was nothing going on at the moment that he would tap out to. So he was just messing around or doing something at that moment in time, but it was very weird, and it was a weird finish because I really thought Makayev was done. It was a full hyperextended knee, but Makayev gets it done. But this guy's making his UFC debut. I don't know how much stock to put into it. Makayev almost got finished by a guy making his UFC debut, but he's still very young, has a lot to learn. Can't wait to see where he goes in the flyweight division. Moving down on the card, you had LaRon Murphy versus Gabriel Santos. Crazy fight, back and forth fight. Both guys landed big shots. I think I scored rounds 1 and round 2 for Santos. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. Murphy gets the split decision. Don't think it was a robbery, but I could see you giving it to Gabriel Santos. But Murphy looked a little bit tired towards the end of the fight. Got taken down a couple times throughout this fight, but was able to get back up. I think both guys have a bright future. I'm happy Gabriel Santos got a shot in the UFC. I think he belongs in the UFC. I think he's better than a guy like Paddy Pimblett, who's getting a lot of, getting co-main events on pay-per-views. So good fight, solid fight. Don't think either guy got robbed. And it was a good performance by both guys. I think both guys' stock goes up. Outside of that, what else are we really going to talk about? Joanne Wood versus Luana Carolina. Throw it in the trash. Horrible. Jake Hadley got a first round TKO finish. Ripped to the body. Finished Malcolm Gordon. Solid win for Jake Hadley. Finished him in the first round. Christian Leroy Duncan was looking good against Dusko Todorovic. I just went out of order, so now I hate myself. But there was an injury to Dusko Todorovic, leg. I think Christian Leroy Duncan was on his way to winning, but it's hard to say. We were just 2 minutes into the first round. He was winning the fight up until that point. And Jai Herbert versus Ludovic Klein, there was a low blow. There was a point deduction, so it ended up being a draw. Otherwise, Jai Herbert probably would have won. I think Ludovic Klein got injured or something along those lines. Jai Herbert was landing good on the feet, defending the takedowns well, looked okay. Veronica Hardy, might as well go over the whole card. I don't know if I skipped another fight. Yeah, I skipped a couple fights. You had Yanal Ashmosh versus Sam Patterson, brutal KO, and now I've went vastly out of order at this point, and I hate my life for it. But now I might as well go over the whole card. Yanal got a beautiful, I think it was a left hand after he caught a kick, and brutally finished Sam Patterson on the ground. Had no idea where he was fighting for like a minute afterwards. Great win for Yanal. Nobody expected him. I don't think he's, what was he ranked as? Not ranked. Was he listed at like 5'10"? I don't think he's 5'10". He looked incredibly short. I don't know how that is accurate compared to 6'3" Sam Patterson. He looked like he was a foot taller than him. But nonetheless, brutally finished him. It was a weird stoppage by Goddard. But I think it was justified. In the moment, it was kind of weird. It looked like he got flash KO'd, but by the time the ref got there, he was kind of trying to, corral Yanal and kind of like defend himself. But ultimately, he ate some big ground and pound shots and got finished. Chris Duncan versus Omar Morales. This was a weird fight. This was a close fight. It could have went either way. Duncan basically got it done, stalling in the grappling. Somebody gave it 30-27 for Omar. That was completely wrong. There's no way it should have been that. The judges were very weird tonight. There wasn't like any robberies, but there was weird scorecards. And I think I just talked about every fight outside of Veronica Hardy versus Juliana Miller, which opened up the card. And I went out of order, but I'm sorry about that. It is what it is. But now it's troubling my OCD right now. But Veronica Hardy, she won the fight. She looked pretty good. Not great. Juliana Miller looked like, she has some type of disability, physical disability. I don't know how she's in the UFC. I don't know how she won the Ultimate Fighter. Veronica Hardy went out there, beat her up, avoided the submissions on the ground. And, coming in after, I think, 3 years off, she wins the fight via unanimous decision. And it was a 30-27. Juliana Miller, I never want to see her fight again. Cut her from the UFC. She's horrible. So that wraps up the entire card. I wasn't planning on talking about the entire card, but I did. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like these full card recaps, or do you prefer when I just kind of talk about all the really main and notable fights on the card? Let me know down in the comments. Do me a favor. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And also, let me know what you thought of the scorecards in the Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman fight. I would greatly appreciate that. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.